Hello. I just wanted to create this video today to demonstrate some best practices on what one can do if you're buying from somebody online, Craigslist deal, for example, an iPhone, iPad, iPod, things that you can do to make sure that you get a good deal and that you carry out the transaction safely. Now, I'm probably not going to cover absolutely every point. This is going to be most of it, so use your better judgment, your common sense. Take from this what you will. But when you're buying from somebody online that you don't know, always be cautious and do so at your own risk. But there are things that you can do to help mitigate the risks and the like. Make sure that you get a good quality product for a good price and carry out the transaction safely. And that's one of the things, a couple of the things I wanted to cover today. Once you've found the phone that you want on Craigslist or whatever service or online provider that you find it on, and if you're going to meet this person, or even if you're not, if you buy it, there's some of these steps that you can do as far as checking the IMEI for blacklisting and stuff like that. Several things that you can do. Once you've decided on a phone and you are talking to the individual that's selling it, ask them to provide you with the IMEI number or the ESN. If they're not willing to do that, pass. When they give you that, there's a couple things that you can do with that number. You want to make sure that the number is, or try to determine if that number is activation ready. More on that later. And we also want to make sure that it's not blacklisted by a carrier or has or do a pre-check to see if it has an iCloud lock on it. Once that number is provided, you can go to a number of different pages. I have on my iPad here two listed. I have iPhoneOX.com and swappa.com/ESN. I have the results on there, just ignore that. But what we can do is we can enter the IMEI here, and it's going to give us some information within a minute or two. What's important on this page is find my iPhone status, make sure that's off. Not worried about warranty. This is a 5C. I know it's out of warranty, but if it's a newer phone, if you're buying a 6, for example, that may still be under warranty. Pretty much all the 6S's are. Everything 5S or older, you can almost be assured that it's not going to be under warranty, so you're not going to worry about that. So this is the data that you get, and make sure Find My iPhone is off. If that is on or active, make sure that before you meet that person, they remove the iCloud lock or iCloud account information from that phone. If they're not willing to do that, pass. If you can't get this to show up clear, pass. We're going to switch now to the Swappa results and see what that shows us. This is the IMEI that I've inserted, and it tells me that this appears to not be blacklisted. So it is not blacklisted from what this tells me, and that it appears to be activation ready. We're going to do further checks later once we get the phone in our possession, but a pre-check before you meet the seller, this is a good place to start. Make sure that you're not getting a phone that's going to give you problems down the road. So we're going to move this aside. Before we even meet with a customer, we want to prepare for the meeting. A couple things that you want to bring. You want to bring an MFI certified charger, the cable and the charger. If you don't have one, get one. Borrow one from a friend or a relative. A lot of times these sellers, the non-reputable ones, will bring a phone that's not charged. Say, oops, I can't turn it on, whatever. Don't accept that. You want to be able to turn the phone on and verify a couple things. If you're not able to do that, you do so at your own risk, and chances are it's a setup and you're going to end up with something that you're not going to be happy with, or is going to be stolen and you're not going to be able to use. So we have a charger and charging cable, or we can grab a portable battery and make sure that it's charged. You want to make sure that you have enough power to get some charge in the phone and to at least boot the phone up and do some pre-checks. Next, let's talk about where to meet. You want to ideally find some place that's got a Wi-Fi, and there are a couple options there. If you're doing an iPhone or an iPad that's a cellular iPad, meet them at a carrier store that you want to activate that phone or iPad at. I work with a lot of local carrier stores that that refer me when they need repairs done for customers for whatever reason, and none of them have a problem with customers meeting them at their location to verify that a phone is activation ready. So, but call your local Verizon, Sprint, AT&T, or whatever carrier store first to make sure that that phone is activation ready. You can also meet at a lot of police stations, sheriff departments, public places like that. They actually encourage Craigslist deals be carried out there. If the seller doesn't want to meet you at a police station, there's a red flag. Doesn't want to meet you at a carrier store, there's a red flag as well. So make sure you're getting somebody on the level that's willing to meet you in a good public place, and some place that's got good Wi-Fi, because that'll come into play here in just a moment. A coffee shop, a Big B or something is fine if you're meeting somebody for an iPad or an iPod that you don't want to hook up to cellular service. You can hook up to their Wi-Fi, and that, Big B, Starbucks, even a McDonald's or Burger King would be fine for something like that. And also, when you're meeting, make sure that you're going with a friend, and you get there early, in time to prepare your notes, some of the other things that we're going to cover here. So now that we have the data that we need, we've done a pre-check on the phone, we know where we're going to meet the seller. Seller is going to meet us at a carrier store, police station, Big B, someplace like that, where we know we have Wi-Fi. We're going to get ready to meet the customer and take a look at the device. So now we're at the location where we're meeting the seller, and first thing we're going to do before we do anything is take a look at the device. If you're paying a good amount of money for the device, there's a number of things that you want to look at from a physical standpoint before you even charge or turn the phone on. First, ask him if it's charged. If he says it's dead, plug it in to a charger. This one is charged, so I'm not going to worry about it. But that'll get you a little head start on the charge. These phones require a certain percentage before they'll even boot. So what we'll do is we'll carefully inspect the frame, look down the edges, make sure that those are nice and straight. Not as big of a deal on a 5C, which I have here. More of a deal when you're getting into the 6s and the 6Ss. You want to make sure that there's no physical frame damage. Look at the corners, nice rounded corners. No big dents that are going to cause a problem if the screen needs to be replaced. If the screen does need to be replaced and it's physically cracked, factor that into the repair. That's a good thing to have to know beforehand, before you meet the customer, so you can price out some of your options. And please, if you're buying a nice phone, don't go cheap on the repairs. There's lots of different quality levels of parts out there, and I've touched on that in a couple other posts on my Facebook page. And I'll see if I can get the link to that before to some of those posts when I post this. So anyway, so we're happy with the condition of the phone. Done a physical inspection. Also look around the edges here where the screen meets the frame. Make sure that's not pushing out. If you're able to, there's a lot of play and you can push it in quite a ways, that's probably telling us that the screen is separating from the bezel. Not a good thing. That's going to probably require a screen replacement. Again, if you're buying it with a cracked screen, no big deal. We're not going to worry about it then, because we're going to be replacing the screen anyway. Once we've done a quick physical examination of the device, we're ready to go ahead and turn it on. And there's a number of reasons that we want to do this. First, obviously, we want to see if it's functional. And two, there's a lot of things that we want to test and check on this phone to make sure it is what the seller claims that it is. So we're going to take our plug, either connected to a charger in the wall or our backup battery. I've got a desktop charger here. I'm just going to use that. And we're going to plug it in. The phone should boot if it recognizes the charger, and this is what you want to happen. Now, if you get the small battery symbol here that shows it doesn't have enough power to boot, just leave it set, be patient. It'll be a few minutes before it'll fire up, but it will fire up hopefully, and you'll be able to do some tests beforehand before you make the purchase, which I strongly recommend. You do want to know what you're getting into when you buy a phone. So the phone has come up. There's a couple things that we want to take a look at first. number one thing is verify the ESN and the IMEI. Now, if this comes up to the setup screen, follow through the setup, connect to Wi-Fi, and you should get to a screen like this. If it comes up to this and there's a passcode lock, make sure that passcode is removed. If the passcode isn't removed, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. If they don't know the passcode, pass. Just let it go. Walk away. Tell them to have a nice day, and good luck trying to sell it to somebody else. And then they probably will, because people don't know what to look for, and that's kind of the purpose of this video. So anyway, so we have our phone, and we have it gone through the activation if it needed. Otherwise, we've unlocked it, and we're looking at the main screen right here. This is how it should be after it's been restored. We're going to go into the settings menu, and we're going to do a couple things first. We're going to go into General, About, and we're going to come down here and check the IMEI or the ESN or IMEID, whatever number they gave us, and we're going to verify that those numbers match what they've given us. And if those numbers match, then we know what they're telling us it is correct, and we can go on to the next step. Once we've verified that, gone through the setup, we want to take those numbers and ask the carrier if this device is activation ready. You always want to do a double check on that. Swap is a good thing to do a pre-check, but ask your carrier if this device is ready to activate, and they will tell you if it's available on their network. If the seller claims that it's unlocked, they'll verify that for you and let you know whether it in fact is, and if it is activatable on their network. You also want to make sure, we're going to come back in here into passcode, make sure the passcode's removed. You don't want to do that. You'll have to DFU restore it, which is not a big deal, but that can be removed. We also want to make sure that the iCloud information is clear. Nobody's email address here, and nothing. You want to have a sign-in screen where you can enter a new Apple ID and password. This is what we want to see. If there's a partial email in there or an email that showed in there, remove it. Sign off, get it off of there. You don't want this on there when you do a reset on the phone or for any purposes at all. If they can't provide you that information, again, pass. Walk away from the transaction. You don't need it. Another thing that we want to check that's critical on the phones that have it, this one does not. When you see a home button here that's got the little square in it, it does not have the Touch ID. The 5Ss, 6s, 6Ss, and the Plus series do have a Touch ID. And what you'll expect to see, let me pull that up here on my tablet. And go into my settings and Touch ID and passcode. And let me put my passcode in there. And you'll see it add fingerprint. And this is what you want to see happen. You'll touch the sensor and you'll see it start to recognize your fingerprint. This is critical on the 6 series phones especially. If the Touch ID does not function, there is a chance, at least as I'm recording this, that the phone will brick if a DFU restore is done. It'll throw an error code 53. That's a whole nother topic. I've got a video on that on my channel as well with my opinions. So check to make sure your Touch ID works. Also, while we're in here, we're going to go into General and go Usage and enable battery percentage. If this is disabled, we want to enable it. While it's plugged in, we want to see this tick up 1. I know the battery's okay on here. I know the charger's okay. We're at 100%. But if it comes up like at 12%, you want to watch this and make sure it goes up to at least 13. You want to see it just jump up 1 number. Then we know that we're pulling a charge. So now that we've got our battery percentage, we're monitoring that. We want to look at service and Wi-Fi. I have this connected to Wi-Fi. This is currently on the Sprint network. It has a Sprint card on there, so I know it's fine. It's not activated, but it's there. If you see it say searching and continue to say searching, that's not a good thing. Even without a SIM card, it should see something. If it says no service, that's fine. We're good with that. It means it's connected to a cellular network. It just hasn't been activated. Wi-Fi. You want to check the Wi-Fi. And we're going to go back. I'm going to ignore that. We know it's not been activated. Connect to a Wi-Fi network. If you can't connect, at least to see some, it is a good sign. Make sure your Wi-Fi is functioning. You do want to go through the setup process, have it connected to a Wi-Fi if it does go through the activation thing. If they can't complete the initial activation where it says hello, hola, konnichiwa, all the other stuff, if you can't go through that and to get to this home screen to do these tests, you don't want the phone. You definitely want to be able to connect. If it shows that there's an iCloud on the activation, you want to make sure that that's taken off. All right. So service and Wi-Fi all seems good. Water damage is very difficult to look at when you're doing an external inspection of the phone. If you're at a carrier store, they should be able to tell. They know where to look. You can remove the SIM card, and there's a little white label on the back of the screen on the thermal plate. That's a white circular label that will tell you if water's gotten into this point here and whether it's something you need to be concerned about. Otherwise, I mean, there's a couple other sensors, one next to the battery connector under the screen here, and another one up toward the top here next to the LCD connectors, the digitizer connector. But otherwise, you can't really, without opening the phone, can't take a look at the water damage sensor too much. All right, now that we're still satisfied with everything that we've seen so far, we're going to go on and do a functionality test. We're going to check a couple things on the phone here to make sure that everything's working as they should. So we're going to open the phone and we're going to start with the camera. And what we're going to do is check the microphones and the cameras on the front and the back. So if it's not on video, go to video. We're going to go test 1, 2, 3, test 1, 2, 3. Switch the camera. Test 1, 2, 3, test 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to play those back. Test 1, 2, 3, test 1, 2, 3. We can at this point check the volume, up, down, mute. That works. We know the power button works. We'll delete that one. So the back facing camera is functional and the back microphone works as well. We're going to go test 1, 2, 3, test 1, 2, 3. And the front camera and the front microphone is functional, which is what we want to see. We'll back out of that application. We want to test the third microphone, which is the one that you use when you're making calls, not on speakerphone. We're going to go to voice, memos. Test 1, 2, 3, test 1, 2, 3. If the speaker icon on the top here is blue, like that, you want to touch that, turn it to white. That activates the ear speaker. And there's two things that you want to do. You want to listen, you can put it to the side of your head, kind of use your eye to see if it turns the screen off when you're playing this recording. If it does, we know that our proximity sensor is on. Okay, put it next to my head because you'll never see it. So I'm going to go ahead and play. I know the speaker is good and I can hear it when I'm playing it. Test 1, 2, 3, test. And if I cover the top here, I can see that my proximity sensor is functioning normally. That's what I want to see. So we're happy with that. I'm going to delete it. We are going to move on. That's basically it. There's not a tremendous amount, really, more that you can test on a phone. We do want to make sure the touch functionality works well. If it's gone goofy or jumping around, you can take your an icon and move it around the screen and make sure it doesn't drop anywhere. Go from one screen to the next. Check your touch functionality that way. Sometimes also you can go into notes, bring a blank note. You have a nice white screen. If there's any blemishes or any problems with the display, that'll show up pretty well when you have a nice clean white sheet of note on your phone. Well, that's about it. I don't know what else to touch on here. If I do, I'll add it to the notes. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below. I will try to get some notes on here and get those posted when I can. I may just post this as it is in RAW, and we'll go from there. Please feel free to like and share this video. There's not enough of them out there, I don't think, or enough guidance for people to make a safe transaction and to have a positive experience when buying online. And a lot of times that's people's best choice, and I get that. But I hope this video helps. Again, like and share. Get the word out. I want everybody to have a safe and positive buying experience and not a negative one like the ones I've been seeing here recently. So thank you very much.